Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are taking a massive stack of aerospace intelligence, defense history, and, well, political paradox. And we're distilling it all down to one single machine, the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor.
And this is so much more than just another fighter jet. I mean, this is the very definition of a technological overmatched platform.
Right.
The F-22 is that American twin-engine, jet-powered, all-weather, supersonic stealth fighter. And for nearly 2 decades now, it's just stood as the undisputed champion. It's the cornerstone of the USAF's tactical air power.
And the reason we call it the cornerstone, it isn't just about speed or, how many missiles it can carry. It's because the Raptor was the very first operational aircraft to successfully combine 4 absolutely revolutionary capabilities in one fuselage.
That's the key.
We're talking about sustained supersonic speed without afterburners, which is supercruise.
Right.
Then you have mind-bending supermaneuverability because of its thrust vectoring, true verifiable stealth, and crucially, a fully integrated avionics system. The holy grail of sensor fusion.
And that combination, that is what defines the 5th generation. It's what allows a pilot to fly the jet rather than just manage a bunch of different systems. But here's the core mission for this deep dive.
Okay.
We want to track this jet's journey from its ambitious Cold War origins in the Advanced Tactical Fighter, or ATF, program. And then we really need to explore the profound political paradox of why production for this pure air superiority fighter, a jet designed to completely dominate, was just drastically terminated.
It's unbelievable. They were supposed to build 750 of them.
And they only built 195.
It's the story of the perfect weapon built for a war that was, already ending. And just to clarify its identity really quickly, it started as the F-22, then it briefly carried the FA-22 designation.
Right, to show it had some planned ground attack capability.
Exactly. But when it finally entered service in December 2005, it went back to being the pure F-22A. It was, and it still is, an air superiority fighter.
Absolutely. To really understand the Raptor, you have to rewind. Go all the way back to 1981 when the ATF program, which was codenamed Senior Sky, first began.
And this was, as you said, a panic response.
Very much so. The intelligence community knew the Soviet Union was fielding a brand new generation of aircraft. We're talking about the very, very capable Sukhoi Su-27 and the Mikoyan MiG-29 fighters.
The flanker and the fulcrum?
Yes, and alongside them, the Beriev A-50 AWEBU ACS system.
So the U.S. looked at their own F-15s and F-16s, which were, legendary planes in their own right, and they realized they wouldn't survive a mass engagement against this new Soviet tech. They weren't asking for an upgrade, they were demanding a whole generational leap.
A huge leap. The requirements weren't just fast, they were futuristic. They mandated extensive use of composite materials, revolutionary flight controls, stealth technology, and crucially, that sustained supersonic capability supercruise at around Mach 1.5.
So the entire program was designed to create an aircraft that could just spearhead counter-air operations. Go in, kill the enemy's air defense, and completely dominate the battle space before the enemy even knew what hit them.
And this led to this high-stakes demonstration validation phase, the DEMVAL phase, where you had 2 heavyweight teams just facing off.
On one side, you had the Lockheed, Boeing, and General Dynamics team with their prototype, the YF-22.
And on the other, you had Northrop and McDonnell Douglas with the YF-23 Black Widow II.
Now, what's fascinating here is how the selection went down. Because in 1991, the Lockheed YF-22 won, even though the YF-23 was, by most accounts, both stealthier and faster. It was a beautiful, sleek design. So why did the YF-22 win?
Well, the sources really point to one key thing. Superior maneuverability won the day over pure speed and stealth.
It was the handling.
It was the handling. The YF-22 had these 2-dimensional thrust vectoring nozzles, which the YF-23 lacked, and they offered truly superior agility. Plus, I think the Air Force just saw the YF-22's design as having lower technical risk and maybe more adaptability for future upgrades.
A choice based on flexibility, not just the raw numbers on a spec sheet.
Exactly. But the path from that YF-22 prototype to the final F-22A production model, that was anything but smooth. The EMD phase was messy.
Messy and expensive. We forget how much the jet actually changed visually. The sources note that the weight estimates just ballooned, climbing from an original target of around 50,000 pounds to over 60,000 pounds.
And that weight increase had huge knock-on effects. They had to significantly increase the required engine thrust, pushing it into the 35,000-pound force class just to keep the performance where it needed to be.
The whole shape had to change too, right?
The whole external geometry had to be tweaked, the wing sweep angle was decreased, the stabilizers were made smaller, and they even shifted the canopy forward. Seemingly small changes, but they were crucial to manage the new center of gravity and keep drag under control.
All to make sure it could still hit that supercruise number.
Precisely.
Okay, let's talk numbers. Let's get into the 3 design pillars, starting with raw power and its just unbelievable movement. The kinematics is all powered by those 2 massive Pratt & Whitney F119 augmented turbofan engines.
Those F119s are absolute monsters. They deliver that immense 35,000-pound force of afterburner thrust. But the real magic, the engineering marvel, is in the exhaust nozzles.
They're rectangular, right?
They are. They're rectangular 2-dimensional thrust vectoring nozzles, and they can shift plus or minus 20 degrees in the pitch axis. This is the technology that unlocks its super maneuverability.
That's the ability to do things that just defy aerodynamics, like the Pugachev's Cobra, where it can maintain full control at angles of attack where any other jet would just fall out of the sky.
But the truly defining kinetic factor is supercruise. At Mach 1.76, the F-22 can sustain supersonic speed without using its fuel-guzzling afterburner.
And think about what that means tactically.
It's a game changer. You're burning less fuel, which means a greatly extended range, and arriving faster means you're extending the effective range of your air-to-air missiles by nearly 50%.
So an AMRAAM missile launched from a supercruising Raptor has this huge energy advantage that the enemy they can't match it.
Right. The F-22 can find you, launch on you, and be speeding away before you even hear the sonic boom. It completely changes the calculus of an engagement. And it can sprint even faster than that. Its max speed with afterburners is well over Mach 2.25.
Which brings us to pillar number 2, stealth, or, low observability. The Air Force calls this 4th-generation stealth, and it's all built on meticulous shaping.
It's an obsession with detail. You're talking about aligning every single panel edge, maintaining continuous curvature across the skin, getting rid of any right angles. The most obvious examples are those serpentine air inlets.
The air ducts that curve so sharply.
Exactly, so that radar can't get a direct line of sight reflection off the enormous, highly reflective engine fan faces.
And that's combined with special radar absorbent materials and, critically, using that thrust vectoring not just for maneuvering, but to actually flatten the exhaust plume.
Which significantly reduces the jet's infrared signature, makes it much harder for heat-seeking missiles to get a lock.
The results are, based on what Lockheed has publicly stated, just astonishing. Its radar cross-section, the RCS, for certain angles, is equivalent to a steel marble. That's about 0.0001 square meters.
Basically invisible.
Okay, wait, so if it's that invisible, how do they even fly it safely in civilian airspace or in training exercises?
And that's the paradox, right? When they don't want to be stealthy for, say, training or air traffic control, they actually have to mount this external device called a Lunenburg lens reflector.
So they have to bolt something on to make it more visible.
Yes, this huge device purposely increases the jet's RCS just to make it show up on radar. It's the ultimate inverse humble brag in aviation.
That perfectly illustrates its dominance. But that kind of precision engineering has a heavy cost, right? The sources all emphasize that stealth measures account for almost a third of the F-22's total maintenance time.
They absolutely do. And while the coatings are more robust than, say, an older stealth aircraft like the F-117, they faced huge durability issues early on.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah, we saw initial operational failures when the aircraft deployed to high moisture environments like Guam, where rain and humidity literally stripped the radar-absorbent coatings right off the jet.
Which compromises its core capability.
Completely. It took years of work to get those coatings truly robust.
Which leads us to the third and maybe the most revolutionary pillar, the brain of the aircraft. The integrated avionics built for sensor fusion.
If supercruise and stealth are the muscles and armor, sensor fusion is the central nervous system. It's the capability that takes data from every source, the onboard radar, passive electronic warfare systems, internal sensors, data links, and it automatically filters, validates, and cross-references it all.
And it synthesizes it into one single cohesive tactical picture on the pilot's display.
Instantly understandable. It massively reduces the pilot's workload, allowing them to focus on tactics instead of trying to manage 10 different screens.
So what's driving this whole process?
The heart of the offensive system is the ANAPG-77 AESO radar. That's Active Electronically Scanned Array. It's low observable, it can track multiple targets at once, and has a huge range, reportedly over 250 miles when it's transmitting in narrow beams.
And later upgrades even added air-to-ground mapping, the SAR capability.
That's right. But I'm fascinated by the passive side, the ANIR-94 electronic warfare system. This is what lets the F-22 just listen.
It's one of the most complex parts of the entire aircraft. The ALR-94 is integrated with over 30 antennas spread all across the airframe, giving it 360-degree coverage. But crucially, it functions as a highly sensitive passive detector.
So what does that mean in practice?
It means the F-22 can locate and track enemy radars, fighters, SAM sites at ranges that exceed the physical reach of its own radar, sometimes well over 250 nautical miles.
Wait a second, so this jet can hear you and target you before your own radar even knows the Raptor exists?
Precisely. That's what makes it the ultimate sneak attack machine.
And that's all enabled by just phenomenal processing power. The system was originally built around two massive Hughes Common Integrated Processors, or CIPs, each capable of 10.5 billion instructions per second.
And you have to remember, when this was developed in the early 90s, that raw computing power was equivalent to multiple Cray supercomputers from that era, for a single plane.
But here's where the jet's design era kind of catches up to its tech. That amazing processing system, it needed software.
It did. The initial software was 1.7 million lines of code, written in the Ada programming language. Ada was highly structured, very rigid, very secure, standardized by the DoD at the time.
And the problem is?
The problem is modern sensors and commercial tech move at lightning speed. Ada became a major constraint, making it extremely slow and costly to integrate any new capabilities.
So a technological marvel built on a software language that basically aged itself out. How do they fix that today?
Well, the modernization efforts today reflect a push across the whole DoD. They're shifting the processing backbone to military-hardened commercial off-the-shelf components, COTs and Open Mission Systems, or OMS, processor modules.
A modular open architecture approach.
Exactly. So they can rapidly integrate new sensors, new weapons, AI functionality, and finally break free of that rigid programming structure from the 90s.
Okay, so we've covered its unbelievable capability. Now we have to address the ultimate tragedy of the Raptor, the cancellation. This jet was designed to win the Cold War.
But it was being built after the USSR had already dissolved.
The cut started almost immediately after the Berlin Wall fell. That original ambitious plan for 750 jets was first whittled down and officially cut to the USAF's final requirement of 381.
And as that peer conflict threat just seemed to evaporate, the political support for an extremely expensive specialized air superiority fighter it eroded with every single budget review.
And this really came to a head in the 2000s, right? The focus shifted dramatically to counterinsurgency in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld cut the program way down to just 183 aircraft.
And the final nail in the coffin came under Secretary Robert Gates in the Obama administration. In 2009, he terminated production, period.
The final operational count settled at 187 aircraft, with 195 built in total. Greif argued that the future demanded the cheaper, more versatile, multi-role F-35, and that the F-22 was just too expensive and too specialized for the conflicts of the day.
It's remarkable, because just a few years later, the threats start shifting back towards peer competitors, China and Russia, and suddenly these jets are desperately needed again. But the production line is cold.
And adding to that strategic pain was that ironclad ban on foreign sales.
That ban, in place since 1998, was absolute. And the rationale was simple: prevent the disclosure of all that classified stealth tech and avionics.
Which meant when key allies like Australia and Japan, who had the money and really wanted the Raptor,
they were told no, forcing them to buy alternatives like the Super Hornet or eventually the F-35.
And when Congress finally directed the Air Force in 2016 to study restarting production, the answer was a definitive no.
Yeah, that was not going to happen.
Well,
the 2017 conclusion was that restarting F-22 production would be cost prohibitive. They estimated $50 billion for 194 jets.
And a huge chunk of that, nearly $10 billion, was just non-recurring startup costs. Getting the tooling, setting up suppliers, recertifying old parts.
It was just too much. They decided that money was better spent not on a 2-decades-old design, but on investing in the true 6th-generation replacement, the Next Generation Air Dominance, or NGAD, program.
The price of pausing production turned out to be nearly the price of the entire fleet they bought in the first place.
But before we look to the future, we have to acknowledge the dark chapter in its operational life. It was a very rocky start.
It was severe. The F-22 experienced major, systemic initial operational problems, most seriously with pilot physiological issues. This included hypoxia symptoms, chronic coughs among pilots,
which tragically led to a fatal crash in 2010 and the complete grounding of the entire fleet in 2011. This was a massive crisis.
Oh, it put the whole program under intense scrutiny. They spent months tracing the issue. And the ultimate root cause was complex. It involved a defective valve, the Bragg valve, and severe fluctuations in the oxygen concentration from the onboard oxygen generation system, the OBOGS.
So the fix wasn't easy.
No, it was a fundamental challenge technically and politically. The eventual solution required fixing the OBOGS system, addressing the pressure fluctuations, and also installing an automatic backup oxygen system, or ABS, to ensure a stable, fail-safe supply of air.
A tough lesson about the complexities of integrating life support into a high-performance stealth platform.
But despite those hurdles, the F-22 quickly demonstrated its essential capability once it was stabilized. Its first homeland defense intercept under NORAD was in 2007 against Russian Tu-95 bombers.
And its first combat sortie came quite a bit later, in September 2014, over Syria against Islamic State targets. And this is where the strategic irony just hits you.
Because its core mission in Syria was not air-to-air combat, it was multi-role.
That's right. I mean, yes, it dropped 1,000-pound GPS-guided bombs, but its key contribution was ISR intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and crucially, deterring other hostile actors, Syrian, Russian, Iranian forces.
So its stealth allowed it to function like a mini AWACS or an invisible traffic cop, just relaying critical data to less capable aircraft.
And it finally achieved its first air-to-air victory almost 18 years into its service life, in the most bizarre circumstances imaginable.
On February 4th, 2023, an F-22 shot down the suspected Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina,
shooting down an inanimate object at 65,000 feet, a very unique way to enter the history books. We should also highlight one of its key logistical innovations for making the most of that small fleet, the Rapid Raptor concept.
Yeah, Rapid Raptor is crucial to modern doctrine. It pairs a small package, usually 2 to 4 F-22s, with a single C-17 transport aircraft that's carrying all the necessary logistical support, maintenance crews, and specialized equipment,
which allows the entire package to deploy quickly and be combat ready within 24 hours in some austere forward operating environment. It's the driving force behind the USAF's Agile Combat Employment, or ACE, concept.
Making the fleet less vulnerable by not relying on huge static air bases.
Right. So looking ahead, the F-22 is still getting upgrades. New weapons like the AM-260 are being integrated, and they're even adding an infrared search and track, an IRST capability.
Something that was cut during initial development decades ago.
Exactly. But despite all these upgrades, the F-22 is slated to begin retiring in the 2030s.
And it will be replaced by the NGAD program's 6th-generation crewed fighter, which is currently designated the Boeing F-47.
And it's incredibly difficult to imagine anything replacing a fighter that can do Mach 1.76 supercruise, that has super maneuverability, and possesses the lowest radar cross-section of any operational fighter on the planet.
But here is the final thought for you to carry forward from this. The F-22 was designed for a peer conflict, but was canceled because of its specialized nature and high cost, only to be used extensively for ground attack and complex ISR against non-peer adversaries. The F-47 is now in development, and it's facing the same political and budgetary pressures. So, considering the F-22's history, a dominant jet terminated early due to costs and strategic shifts. What balance of pure capability, multi-role flexibility, and production affordability do you think the Air Force needs to strike with the NGAD program to ensure it meets both tomorrow's threats and survive shifting political tides?